Page 12, Chiapanecas, I guess. I don't speak Spanish, so I'm not sure. It's Mexican hat clapping song. And again, this is in a lot of method books. It's kind of neat. This is a nice arrangement. However, we're not going to do any hand clapping here. It's because it's all the some arrangements you actually have to clap. Oh, that's fun. Try playing and then clapping and then playing and then clapping. Yeah. So anyway, no sharps or flats on this. We're in C major, all white keys. Make sure you can do the C major scale, at least one octave up and down. I have a video on it. Go watch that, the beginner part, the first part. 3/4 time. Let's take it one hand at a time. Make sure we got this. I have a couple suggestions on fingering, although they're only suggestions. You use the fingering in the book is just fine. So you're starting here in the right hand here, and it's 1, 2, 3. And I want you to cross over here, and then a rest to come up. Rest, rest. Now you back down here. Come up. Back down here. You're moving around a little bit, but you got to rest to do it in. Go to the bottom of the page. Last line, you're here. This is page 12. During the rest, come up here. Way up here. That's fine. You have 2 rests here, but you're not moving, because on page 13, you're right there. 1, 2, 3. Remember, a dotted half note is the same as 3 quarter notes. Just memorize that. It doesn't matter what the time signature is. It's always the same as 3 quarter notes. So here, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the idea is, if you know what a quarter note is, well, then this gets 3 times that much. Second line, here, 1, 2, 3, 1. You got to bring the thumb down here. Just don't move the hand, just the thumb. Then at the end of the second line, you bring the whole hand down. 1, 3. Again, you got to bring the thumb down again. Third line. 1, 2, 3, 1. See that E is tied, and then it's here, 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 and then reach the thumb down. It's like a C major scale there. Then you repeat back up to the top. Let's go to the last line on page 13. You're here. So again, kind of like a C major scale. It's not quite the fingering, but it's still the feeling that you would. And then the last 2 chords, you can do their fingering fine as a 1/4 and a 1/5. But if your hands are big enough, I would encourage you to use a little more advanced fingering because it helps you later on. And that is use a 2/4 and a 1/5. You're not going to connect them, but you could. And in some pieces you need to. So if you can get used to this fingering now, it helps you later. Left hand's just chords. You're starting out with block chords, C chord, 5/7 chord. Then the counting, well, it's not big. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Isn't this fun? On page 13, broken chords here. 4 chord. Second line, 1 chord. Third line, 5/7 chord. And the fourth line is, okay. Put the hands together. And you don't have to go this, you go your speed. I'm just speeding it up to shorten the video a little bit. It's here. Now, there is a fingering style that I use where I don't cross over the thumb if I don't have to. It's just a habit. So you can think about this on this right hand thing here. Instead of here, we don't have to cross over there. When you get to the G, come down and use 4, 2, 1. And it's this position. I went from here to here. I left the little finger where it is, I just moved everything down. But that means I don't have to cross over. So it just kind of falls under the fingers just fine. And so try that fingering if you'd like. But you're going to need it eventually. You're going to need to be able to do that. So I'll leave that up to you and your teacher. Now put the hands together. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You get the idea, I hope. So forth. Page 13 here. make sure you play that rest at the end of the first line. Rest, you've got to be quiet. Again, another rest, you got to get off of it. So forth. Put the hands together and then go back through and get rid of the hesitation. So the beat is a steady beat at some speed you choose. Go slow, it's fine. Then we add the articulation of the accents. Just give them a little extra oomph and don't connect them. Separate them. Not real short. No, just separate them. And you got accents all over the place. You can see them as well as I can. Now on the page 13, the last two lines. Well, let's take the first ending, the next to the last line, where you're here. Then all these accented notes. This is a matter of interpretation. People do it differently. You can just give them a little extra. Let the wrist claps on these. Don't play with a stiff wrist. Or because they're accented, you can separate them slightly because it tends to help to bring out the accent. They're not real short. No, just separate them. So forth. Now, again, that's interpretation. On page 13 at the end of the first line, they slur those notes. That is to tell you to make sure you slur them. You don't have a choice. You slur them. End of discussion. Yeah, slur them. These others, you have a choice because there's nothing marked. You can slur them if you want, or you can separate them. You see, when the music doesn't tell you one way or the other, it's up to you on how you want to interpret it. Maybe one time you do it one way and another time you do it another. But when they give the slur on there, you don't have a choice. You have to connect them. The left hand is just an chuck chuck. I would connect the first two beats. Always just connect the first two beats. That's typical with a waltz type thing. You know, chuck chuck, Don't separate them. No, connect the first two beats together. Now, since page 13 is repeated, at least the first three lines are repeated, and when we repeat things, it's really, if possible, it's better not to play them exactly the same both times. You know, it's nice to change something. So maybe you change that articulation where you can play it, connect it the first time, and disconnect it the second. Or the other way around. The point is you change something. Sometimes you change the dynamics, sometimes you change the articulation, sometimes you change the speed, sometimes you change whatever you can change. You have to follow what the music tells you to do, but you still have a lot of freedom on what you want to do. So find something you can change when you play it the second time. Dynamics? Well, this melody starts out moderately loud. And these accented notes, they have a forte there. That's unnecessary. The accents make it forte. So you don't need an accent and a forte both. Just forte. Just loud. And then back down. Loud. I just want you to understand why all these dynamics are there. You stick with one dynamic they give you, more or less. You're in that area. Until they give you another dynamic. Well, they give you another one at the end is loud. Okay, now I'm going to stick with loud. They don't want you to do in the second line, they want you to come back down. So they have to keep giving you an MF at the beginning of each line because they gave you an F at the end of the line. If they just didn't give you the F to begin with, then all you needed was the MF, and that would you get the same thing. Now on page 13, now we're loud, and this really is loud. That actually makes the accented notes sort of very loud. Just so these accents. And when you get to the first ending at the bottom, the last two measures, you got a crescendo to go back up. You're going to go back up to loud, but I suggest you come down to about moderately soft and go back up. So here, that's moderately soft, and go back. Each one gets a little louder. Then in the second ending, again, come back down about a moderately soft and go back. Now here there's no accents. You can connect these. Go bop to here, crescendo. You have to get to know it well enough to get into the music to feel the dynamics. But this is a happy party piece. But you don't want it to all be the same dynamic all the time. See, on page 13, the first line was loud. Second line, you come down a little bit to moderately loud. I wouldn't get down to moderately soft until, as I said, right before those crescendos in the last two lines. You can start those at moderately soft because you're going to go right back up to loud. You're not staying there very long. The left hand has to be in the background. Just keep it in the background. Speed-wise, it's moderately fast, kind of a fun speed. Depends on how much wine I've had to drink here. I'd like to play this with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do the dynamics. I will do the accents, or try to. I will do the repeats. We'll do the first and second endings and all that. So I'll give us 3 counts and let's just play it slowly together. Now this is after you've learned it. You learn it first so you can play it and then come back and play it with me. 1, ready, go. Rest, rest, rest. 2, 2, 3. Rest, 2, 3. Rest, 2, 3. Second ending.